What a crazy past couple of days in LA. Like so many other people, I have been, shocked at what I've seen from the looting to the destruction to the brutality. And so many people are feeling so many different things, like rightfully so. So I thought, you know what? What if I were to go ahead and just pull together a collection of perspectives, people from the left, people from the right, people from the center, and you might not agree with all of them. In fact, I'm going to guarantee you that you will not agree with everything that I'm going to share. But these are real ideas from real people who are feeling all sorts of things as they watch, one of America's favorite cities burn a little bit, right? So I wanted to go ahead and do this. And I don't have all the answers, by the way, just to be perfectly clear. But I do think that we have such a great community of people who watch these videos, people who want to search for the signal and not the noise. And I think right now we'll go ahead and dive a little bit into some of the signal here. All right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and check out what is going on, what is on the line. All right. From people who are on the ground to people who are in newsrooms, from the left to the right to the center. I think this is going to be a really, really good video. Also, guys, if you like having conversations like this, if you think nuance matters, please go ahead and consider liking and subscribing. That really, really does mean the world to me. Okay, check this out. So, one of the first perspectives that I thought was worth including here was this person named Mariana Medvin. She says, back in my day, leftists cared about air pollution. The modern left literally creates air pollution in the name of protest. Note, there's no law enforcement, no firefighters anywhere nearby, no sirens in the background. It is complete anarchy in LA. Checks out. That is so shocking. This literally feels like it's straight out of a movie. It is wild. But like I said, that was obviously someone who is on the right, but we're going to be bouncing all over the place. All right. So you're probably going to read some stuff or hear some stuff that you don't necessarily agree with. But honestly, I encourage you to be okay with that. Be a little bit uncomfortable as you read some of these things, because I think whenever you expose yourself to a wide variety of perspectives, I actually think it makes people genuinely more empathetic. One of these books I have in the background, his name's Ernie Manis. He's a writer, and he says that empathy is the highest form of genius. And I really carry that. But you can't be empathetic to someone or to their story if you don't understand their story, if you don't understand their perspective, or you don't hear their perspective. So I do think part of what I want to do with this video is to just put everything out there, all right, from the right to the left to the independents. So I saw this from Dean Withers, and he says, he's obviously someone who's on the left, but he says, here's the facts about mass deportation. One, it's expensive. 185 billion upfront costs, 100 billion recurring annual opportunity costs. This is what undocumented immigrants pay in taxes. Two, it's bad for the economy. It slows GDP growth by over 300 billion per year. Three, it weakens American industries, forcefully removing millions from our labor force, decreases our productive capacity, and destabilizes our manufacturers. Four, it increases violent crime rates. A lot of violent crime is consequential of poverty. With weakened industries and slow GDP growth, poverty goes up. Higher violent crime rates will follow. He finally ends off by saying, stop the mass deportation. Place America first. Another progressive, which is Cenk Uygur, he says, Trump and ICE started this fight. But imagine if instead of burning cars, our side showed up and it did what the civil rights movement did. Civil disobedience, where we match the government's violence with stubborn peacefulness. It takes courage to take a punch, not throw one. There you go. We also have this perspective by Kazan. He says that he is in LA and he made this video pretty much talking about almost like a better way forward, kind of. A lot of people agree with him. A lot of people disagree with him. But I'll go ahead and let you make up your own mind. Check it out.
I'm in LA. Behind me are people protesting Trump's ICE raids on humans who are here illegally. And you know what? As someone who believes that we should deport all undocumented immigrants, I partially agree with them. On Friday, ICE agents raided Home Depot parking lots, clothing warehouses, and even a donut shop, and arrested people suspected of being here illegally. Some of them had criminal records, some were in the country illegally and had no additional crimes. In total, about 118 people were arrested. In response, locals started to protest. Most were peaceful, and some got violent, burning cars, attacking ICE agents, and waving Mexican flags while doing so. In response, Trump declared that Newsom wasn't doing enough to quell the violence and deployed 2,000 National Guard to California. Now, as I said, I think we should deport people who are here illegally, but we can also do that humanely, because what we do matters, but how we do it matters too. Look at how much chaos this has caused. Thousands of troops, tens of thousands protesting, millions spent, all to deport 118 people. There are 10 to 20 million people in the country illegally. Trump's approach doesn't even scale to 1 million, let alone tens of millions. The DHS reported it cost $17,000 to deport a single immigrant. Look, we're not all going to agree on immigration policy, but hopefully we can all agree this approach is serving no one. So what's the solution? Change the incentives instead of forcing the issue. Force should be a last resort. First, just enforce existing law. Penalize corporations for illegal labor practices. Second, give people money to leave voluntarily. Trump offered $1,000 for voluntary return, but if forced deportation costs $17,000, we can clearly afford more. Third, expand our immigration courts so that illegal immigrants get their due process in a matter of days, not years. Fourth, tone down the emotional rhetoric. I don't approve of Newsom or Bass, but the name calling isn't helpful. It helps stoke Trump's base, but it won't unite the country. Yes, he should absolutely take a hard line against violent protesters, and he can do that without alienating half the country. Now, to that half of the country, you say that we shouldn't deport at all, and instead we should offer amnesty. You say that these people are contributing to the economy, hardworking, and nonviolent. And you're largely right, but the process matters. How you enter matters, because if we don't uphold the law, we lose what makes America more desirable than where they're coming from in the first place. And you know what? We do rely on immigrants economically. So let's overhaul the immigration process so that we can welcome as many immigrants as we need legally, not rationalize breaking our own laws for economic reasons. Let's reward people who respected America enough to wait in line before we extend that privilege to those who cut the line. But whatever we do, let's make sure we do it in a way that is both logically sound and emotionally intelligent. Because what Trump is doing right now might score him political points, but it won't actually solve the illegal immigration crisis. And after all, wasn't that the whole point?
So he is someone who I would say has a lot of right-leaning values, but is ultimately independent, and that's why I really wanted to include him because I just think he's a really smart guy, and I think he's a really gifted communicator. Right, he's able to speak to both people who are on the left, people who are on the right, and he's able to kind of unite people in a way that I've seen very few people do. So I think he is absolutely great. And speaking of people who are independent, all right, agree with it or disagree with it. Jake Tapper just yesterday on CNN had this to say about the protests in LA, which is it was really shocking to me. All right, he was pushing back on the other reporter.
They made downtown Los Angeles a no-go zone. I mean, the police because of all the unrest. But I hear what you're saying, and as you can see, we are showing the peaceful images right now. So I understand your complaint, but you know.
It's a very small part of Los Angeles. I just want to remind people. And if you go to certain parts of the city, they don't even know what's happening.
I get that. But still, I mean, 5 cars set on fire is still a lot of cars set on fire, even if most cars are not. But we appreciate your being here.
And we condemn that violence. And those people should not be out. And those people should be arrested. No doubt about that.
Okay. Democratic Congresswoman Annette.
So there you go. Jake Tapper iconically saying still. I mean, 5 cars set on fire is still a lot of cars set on fire, even if most cars are not. All right. And I think this really has to be said because honestly, right now, in terms of protests and the media, like visibility matters so much. Like because you know what gets clicks on the internet? Car crashes. All right, the best performing YouTube videos is essentially a car crash. Someone says something absolutely ridiculous, same thing on X, and same thing for all these news and media outlets. So, of course, they're going to show the images like this, even if most of the time it's actually peaceful. So, I actually really like this post by Hassan, this progressive streamer, pretty much feet on the ground in LA. And he was talking about how it was far from chaotic. Look at this. He says, my goal with the UCLA student encampments was to show you how different the reality on the ground was from the way the media was framing it. The LA protests are the same. It feels chaotic from afar, but the protesters are your neighbors. The threat is ICE. The threat is the police. All right. So I'm definitely not agreeing or disagreeing with that. But what I wanted to show these clips for was pretty much just distilling some of what we see on the internet. All right. Just because we're seeing the car crashes, yes, this is absolutely very real. There are actually incredibly horrific things that I've seen. The looting is terrible. But most of the people there, I wouldn't be surprised if most of their experiences look like this. Right. Someone said, them, LA is full of insurrection, us at the protest. And it's literally some guys, getting some hot dogs, right, from some Mexican vendor. Right. So I thought that was hilarious. But still, at the same time, that could be real. And this could be real as well. Like this is in some unbelievable police and law enforcement brutality. There are people who are literally on this bridge who are throwing bricks down at agents. This is unthinkable. Are you kidding me? Look at this.
Get down! Get down!
Oh, he got fucked. Oh.
You could literally see someone above this bridge throwing a giant brick at, what is this, highway patrol officers. That is wild. And I've seen countless videos like this. Law enforcement, federal agents are driving around in their cars. People are throwing bricks through their windshields, not caring about the person inside, whether they have a family, a wife and kids, none of that. Whether it's just a person who's trying to do their job, there's zero regard for them. So that is completely unbelievable, which is disgusting. And I can't believe it. And in a moment where so many people on the left are also just simply praising and worshiping the people who are protesting peacefully, like, yes, let's acknowledge the people who are protesting peacefully. I think that's great. But at the same time, like, let's not, let's get the stick out of our eyes here for a second. So I do appreciate this from Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. He actually shared this image of a guy looting on a car, or pretty much standing on top of a car that's completely wrecked, shirtless with a Mexican flag waving. And he says this. He says, I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstrations, and immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. This is Fetterman really got some of my respect today whenever he said that. We also saw Vivek Ramaswamy responding to this. He said, it's hard to preach hard truths to your own side. I respect this. So good. And we are also seeing people from the left actually do something about this. Some people say it's too late, but I applaud it anyways. We saw this from Mayor Karen Bass of LA. She says, let me be clear. Anyone who vandalized downtown or looted stores does not care about our immigrant communities. You will be held accountable. And she's obviously saying this because last night, so much looting occurred. It is bonkers. So much vandalization. It was disgusting. Look at this Apple store, completely vandalized, spray painted all over, and people are breaking in to steal a bunch of iPhones, and it pretty much emptied the entire store. Look at completely bonkers. Libs of TikTok said Apple Store in LA looted last night, but don't worry, Gavin Newsom has it under control, and the media says it's totally peaceful. The media has said that. I actually posted something very recently in response to Kamala Harris. Let me see if I could bring that up real quick. Check this out. Yeah, here it is. Kamala Harris on the 8th says, my statement on what's unfolding in Los Angeles. And at the end, she said that the protests have been overwhelmingly peaceful. And you could say that. I feel like that's fair. They have been overwhelmingly peaceful, but in the same way, you can't just discard what's happening as well. Like, you're showing one side of the story. You're it's like someone trying to pay with something in coins, but they're only giving you one side. Like, one side of a coin is not a coin. And I responded to this tweet by Kamala Harris with this video of I believe he works for Fox 5 or like Fox, yeah, like for a local Fox station in LA, and he was at a Home Depot, and look at what happened to his car. Completely wrecked.
So this is what's left of our work car. We had it parked near the scene. Obviously, we got here right at the beginning before we knew it was going to escalate to the situation that it got to. This is a brand new news truck that we just got. Looks like the tires were slashed. They busted into the windows. We'll see. Our personal bags were in the car. They stole all the stuff that was inside. There are some things here. Looks like they took cinder blocks through the window.
This is just so sad. You have so many people out there who are just trying to do their job, right? They're trying to be a journalist, trying to be a reporter, and people go up to this car, they write a bad word, ICE, and complete throw cinder blocks in it. It's just ridiculous. And if you're wondering what Gavin Newsom is up to today, here he posted this tweet earlier in response to a Politico article saying troops deployed to LA will cost $134 million, Pentagon says. He says $134 million. That should be going to LA's fire recovery. Absolutely shameful. That is crazy coming from Gavin Newsom, someone who is, some people would argue, is solely responsible for the fires and the negligence that caused them. And if you're also wondering what he's doing with his time, is if he is boots on the ground defending his state, he's actually going on podcasts. All right. Check out this little clip of him right here.
He's a stone cold liar. I respect the presidency. I've tried to have an open hand with him, tried to work with him. You can't work with Donald Trump. You can only work for him. And I will not. I refuse to work for Donald Trump.
There you go. One of the governors of our beautiful country says, I refuse to work for the president of the United States. That is insane. But in a more recent development, check this out. A CNN clip pretty much saying a federal judge just denied Gavin Newsom's efforts to force President Trump to withdraw the National Guard from LA. So, according to the CNN clip, a federal judge just sided with President Trump. Check this out.
The judge has denied the state of California's request to stop Trump from using the California National Guard to keep the peace and keep order during these protests. CNN's Elena Treen is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where President Trump is speaking. And Elena, that's a big development, the judge denying California's request. Tell us about that, and tell us what the president has been saying in his Fort Bragg speech.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal for the president here and his administration. And we heard just moments ago the president saying that he wants to liberate Los Angeles and really attacking Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass for the way that they've been responding to him calling in the National Guard and the Marines to go and try and quell these protests. We're obviously, I'm sure, if he's not alerted about it on stage, we'll soon after be hearing from him directly, I'm sure, lauding that decision from the court.
We also have this perspective by Charlie Kirk. He says President Trump's deployment of the National Guard to quell the riots in Los Angeles has a net +20 approval rating. Americans want order, deportations, and the rule of law, Nazi chaos, criminality, and assaults against federal law enforcement. Sure. Charlie Kirk also wrote this, and this caused a lot of controversy. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. He says, it's time to ban third world immigration, legal or illegal. We've reached our limit, and we have a huge cultural, educational, housing, financial, and essential services problem to fix now because of it. We need a net zero immigration moratorium with a ban on all third worlders. And he's actually seen an agreement with Matt Walsh, who said essentially the same thing, and Charlie Kirk pretty much piggybacked off of him. But yeah, this is what is happening on the right. What do you think about all this? What do you think about these perspectives? Let me know in the comments. This is the last video I'm going to share, but I do really want us to cover like so many different bases on this video alone. I want some of the arguments to be pro what's happening, so many arguments to be against what's happening, and all to just give someone just some much needed context. So however they leave this video, they're just prepared to make up their own mind. Or maybe the real answer is just, you know what? Everything that I'm saying, it kind of sucks. And I don't know how to make up my own mind because this situation is actually far more complex and nuanced than I could have ever imagined it being. And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. All right. Because we try to do this weird thing in politics where we make everything seem to be like it's a black or white answer, but it's not a black and white world. Like that people say, oh, he's playing 4D chess. And I like that concept a little bit more because we sometimes treat politics as if it's such a flat board game, but it's not. There's no winners or losers in this space. There's only people, and some people are going to get hurt and some people are going to get going to find some sort of benefit here. But regardless of any of that, like these are real lives at stake, and these issues are far more complicated than some people make it seem. So I do like this take from Cory Booker, and I thought it was worth including here. I don't know who this person is. It's obviously not Cory Booker, but he did share it, and he didn't tag the person who's in this. So I will just play this. Check it out.
Hey, Viv, these mass deportations are going to help out real Americans, right?
I'm going to stop you right there. First off, if watching families being ripped apart does not appeal to your humanity, let me try and appeal to you financially, because these mass ICE deportations are bad for the economy. So while undocumented immigrants actually make up a really small portion of the overall workforce, they are overrepresented in jobs that you do not want. Things that have little benefits, long hours, backbreaking work with no pay. For example, about 42% of the agricultural workforce, 23% of the construction workforce are undocumented. And let's be real, these are self-reported numbers, so those are probably light. But the short of it all is that the food that you eat and the home that you live in was probably brought to you by someone who is an immigrant. The Made in America for Americans tagline, yeah, it's actually made by immigrants. Not only are these mass ICE deportations going to result in a tax revenue loss of over $1 trillion every single year, get ready to wait longer at your favorite neighborhood restaurant. You're going to see a shortage in Uber and Lyft drivers, delivery order people, and you are going to see prices for meat, seafood, dairy, and produce all go up at your grocery store. If you are not deeply disturbed watching unidentifiable masked officers throw hardworking people into unmarked vans, I plead with you to assess why that might be. And ultimately, if you still can't come up with a reason to care, I ask you to be selfish and know that what is bad for these people you don't seem to care about is also bad for you.
So I will
Hey, Viv.
respond very lightly to this. I pretty much want to give like an IRL community note to this person, because a couple arguments here is whenever people like her are advocating for, illegal immigration because they end up working jobs that not a lot of people would actually work otherwise. There's an argument on the right that people say that you are pretty much advocating for a modernized version of slavery, which you could argue does benefit the people who actually, are working those jobs, but it also benefits these corporations who are actually able to get some labor done for an incredibly cheap cost. So some people do say that this is the left pretty much endorsing a modernized version or expression of slavery. Do I agree with that? I don't know. I think that the water gets murky incredibly fast. But I do think this woman does bring up some good points about how this is actually going to be affecting regular people who almost want nothing to do with this. I also do want to respond to this. It says made in America is made by immigrants, but there is a difference between people who immigrated here legally and people who are illegal immigrants. So a little bit of just wanted to add a little bit of an asterisk right there. But anyways, that's pretty much the whole video. All right. I hope I did a decent enough job of covering
Tagline.
a lot of different perspectives or worldviews here. And I I don't think this is even going to be one of those videos where I spend a lot of time in the comment section, because I do think this is one of those more sensitive topics where no matter what I say, I think this is just going to be something where people are going to find reasons to disagree with me. Maybe I didn't share a perspective enough. Maybe I'm biased. I'm not sure. And I also don't want to make it seem like I have any of the answers at all. I don't. Look, at the end of the day, I'm just a guy who is really just trying to share what he sees and do it in hopefully a meaningful way, so other people who watch this video could actually engage in a conversation and see perspectives that they probably wouldn't have normally seen whenever they're going about their life, and also trying to stay informed. Because these are heavier topics, and there's so much information out, and it's moments like these where it's hard to identify, you know, what is truly right, because this is a humane crisis, but it's also a policy crisis. And so many times people are asking, like, well, I just don't know what's right. Like, could I be someone who is for secure borders and someone who is pro legal immigration, but what do you do with the people who are already here? Like, is mass deportation the answer? Or should we just streamline the immigration process? Is the answer actually having more judges so they could actually see these people in days rather than years, as Kazin just recommended? Right? Like, I don't know. He also said, like, we have the resources of $18,000. Like, could we actually use that to get people or to encourage people to self-deport? Is that the answer? I don't know. I don't know. And maybe all these ideas could be bad ideas to you, but here's what I'm certain of. Every single bad idea that someone has is probably a step closer to a better idea. All right. So even if all that you've heard today was, oh my gosh, this guy shared nothing but bad ideas, nothing but bad takes. You know what? Maybe bad takes are going to lead us to better takes. If you thought something that we shared here was a bad take, let us know your better take in the comment section. All right, because this is what we love. We love the perspective of the fires. We love the different people's opinions. We want to hear what you have to say about this, because these are weird times. All right. Some people think we're living in just crisis and complete anarchy, one after another. People are comparing this to January 6th. I don't know. But what I do know is I do think things get better the more we talk about it in a meaningful and hopefully collected type of way. All right. So anyways, that's the video. Please let me know what you thought about all this in the comment section. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What made you, what did you learn? All right. Did you learn something? Did you maybe get some more perspectives on something? Did this maybe push you a little bit more to the right, or did this push you way more to the left? Some people are seeing what's happening in LA, and they're actually beginning to be more anti-immigration, just because they're seeing people, here in America waving in other states a flag, and they're like, dude, what are we doing here? Or we're waving in other countries' flag, and they're like, what's going on? Why are we doing this? Like where's the patriotism? Where's the pro-American values? And all I wanted to do was to kind of create a space where we could go ahead and talk about it. All right. So let me know it. Like, go wild in the comment section. All right. I'm really excited to see what you guys have to say about this one. All right. As always, make sure to like, subscribe. Really means the world to me. And I'll see you next time. Episode's over already? Geez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.